I should never have sworn. But that night, under the old mango tree, with the wind howling through the leaves, Tola was crying, and I couldn't stand it. "Swear, Femi," she whispered, her fingers digging into my wrist. "Swear that no matter what happens, neither of us will ever marry." I swallowed. "Tola, this thing we're doing, swear it." Her voice cracked. Her face was streaked with tears, her lips trembling. "I can't survive without you. If you ever leave me, if you ever marry another woman, let blood answer for blood." She picked up the razor blade. Her hand didn't shake. I was 19, young, stupid, and in love with the one person I had no right to love. So I cut my palm, she cut hers. We pressed our hands together, feeling our blood mix, and I swore. I didn't know I had just destroyed my own life. The day I told Tola I was getting married, she just laughed. It was a soft, chilling laugh, like something out of a horror film. "You're joking," she said. "I'm serious, Tola. Her name is Adoranka. I love her." She tilted her head. "You swore, Femi." "Tola, we were kids." "You swore on your blood." Her eyes darkened. "Blood oaths aren't jokes. They can't be broken." I tried to convince her. I told her our love was a mistake, that we were cousins, that we could never be normal. She only smiled. Then she whispered something that made my stomach turn to ice. "If you break the oath, the spirits will finish what I started." 3 days before my wedding, Adoranki started complaining about bad dreams. "I keep seeing a woman in white," she told me one evening as we sat on the balcony. "She's always standing at the foot of our bed, watching us." I chuckled and pulled her close. "You've been watching too many horror films." "I'm serious, Femi," she shivered. "The dream is so real, and every time I wake up, my chest feels heavy like someone was sitting on it." I should have taken it seriously. But I told her it was just wedding stress. That was my first mistake. The next day, Adoranki's wedding gown caught fire. She was at the tailor shop when it happened. She had just put on the gown for final fitting when a candle fell from the shelf, setting the hem on fire. The tailor swore she had never placed a candle on that shelf before. When Adoranki called me, she was shaking. "I think someone is trying to kill me," she whispered. I laughed it off. "Baby, it was an accident." Then why did I hear someone whisper my name before it happened? That was my second mistake. That night, Tola sent me a video. I almost dropped my phone when I played it. She was sitting in the dark, her face only half lit by candlelight. Her eyes gleamed. She held something in her hand, a knife. She dragged the blade slowly across her palm. Then she whispered, 3 days left, Femi. Blood will answer for blood." I couldn't breathe. I turned off my phone and sat in the dark, my heart pounding. For the first time, I was afraid. Tola wasn't joking, and I had no idea what she was going to do next. The night before my wedding, I woke up to my phone ringing. It was Tola. I didn't want to answer, but something told me if I didn't pick up, I would regret it. I slid my thumb across the screen. "Tola, what do you want?" Her voice was soft. Too soft. "Come outside." I sat up. "Outside where?" "I'm outside your house." Cold fear gripped my chest. I walked to the window, pushed the curtain aside, and there she was, standing by the gate in a white dress. I should have called security. I should have walked away. Instead, I went outside. Tola's eyes were red, like she had been crying for hours. "Femi, do you remember when we were little?" she whispered. "You used to tell me stories at night because I was afraid of the dark." I swallowed. "Tola, why are you here?" She smiled, but there was something empty about it. "Because you're about to make a mistake." She reached into her purse. My heart stopped. But it wasn't a gun. It was a small bottle filled with dark red liquid. She turned it upside down, letting the liquid drip onto the ground. "Our blood," she said, "from the night we made the oath." My stomach twisted. "Tola, listen to me." "No, you listen." Her voice cracked. "If you marry her, Femi, one of us will die." I took a step back. Tola wasn't just heartbroken. She was desperate, dangerous. And the worst part, I wasn't sure if she was lying. When I returned inside, I locked the door and leaned against it, my heart pounding. For the first time, I didn't know if I would survive my own wedding. But I knew one thing. If Tola had her way, Adoranki wouldn't survive it either. The wedding hall was packed. People were smiling, music was playing, and everything was perfect. Except me. I was sweating inside my suit, my hands cold, my heartbeat too loud in my ears, because I knew Tola was somewhere in that crowd, watching, waiting. And I didn't know what she was planning. Adoranki walked in, glowing in her white gown. She was beautiful, too beautiful. And I was afraid, because something terrible was about to happen. The pastor smiled. If anyone here has a reason why these two should not be joined together, speak now or forever hold your peace. Silence. I exhaled. Maybe, just maybe, Tola had changed her mind. Then I heard the click of a gun. I turned slowly. Tola was standing at the back, her white dress matching Adoranki's, but her hands were shaking, and in her right hand was a pistol. The hall exploded into screams. People ran in different directions, but I couldn't move. Tola, please. You swore to me, Themi, she whispered, her voice breaking. You swore. She raised the gun. Adoranki gasped, stepping back. I threw myself in front of her. If Tola was going to shoot, she would have to shoot me first. Tears rolled down her cheeks. Her hands shook harder. Then she whispered, I can't. She turned the gun to her own chest and pulled the trigger. The gunshot echoed. Tola collapsed to the ground, blood spreading across her white dress. I dropped beside her, my whole body shaking. Tola, stay with me. She smiled weakly, her lips trembling. I told you, blood will answer for blood. Her fingers gripped my wrist one last time, then she went still. Tola was buried in her father's compound. Nobody knew the truth. They called it suicide from heartbreak. They said she had been depressed for years. But I knew better. Tola didn't just die. She took a part of me with her. Adoranki tried to be strong, but on our wedding night she looked at me differently, like I was a stranger. Did you love her? She asked in the darkness. I didn't answer. She exhaled. Themi, we can't pretend. The way she looked at you, the way you looked at her, I closed my eyes. It's over, Adoranki. She was quiet for a long time. Then she whispered, No, it's not. The marriage didn't last 6 months. Adoranki tried, she really did. But some nights I would wake up calling Tola's name. Other times, I would stare at Adoranki and feel nothing, because the part of me that could love had died in that wedding hall. One morning, Adoranki packed her bags. I deserve better, she said softly. I nodded. I didn't even try to stop her. Because she was right. I left Lagos, moved to a small town where nobody knew me. Every night I sat by my window and thought about the girl under the mango tree, the girl who made me swear on my own blood. Sometimes I swore I could hear her voice in the wind. You swore, Themi. And every single time I whispered back, I know.